Hello and good afternoon on this special evening as we get ready for the Seder. Tonight we will all sit in our homes, surrounded by our friends and families, or in the homes of our friends and families, surrounded by our children and our loved ones. And we will open up the Haggadah and we will say the words, Hey Lachma Anya, this is the bread of affliction. And we will continue on to speak and we will say, Hashata Hacha, today we are in exile. L'shana haba b'nei chorin, next year we should be free. Hashata Hacha, this year we are here. L'shana haba b'nei chorin, next year in Jerusalem. And this year when we say these words, it will reverberate with extra meaning, significance, pain and challenge. As we've watched the world since October 7th, a world indifferent to anti-Semitism, a world apathetic to Jewish suffering, a world that forgets hostages that are kidnapped for over 6 months, a world that is intimidating Jewish students wherever they are, on the Ivy Leagues, the elite universities like Columbia. We all witness what has been happening the last 3 days, and especially even today. A world that says that Jewish blood is cheap. But the question is, what message will we give at the Seder? The question is, what will we be? Will it be today we are here, next year in Jerusalem? Will it be today we are slaves, but next year we will be free? What attitude will you have? You know, through the times of our history, there were times when the Jewish people suffered so much through the Inquisitions, through the pogroms, through the Holocaust, and yet they celebrated Seders those years. In those years, the Seders were maror. It was bitter. What they tasted more than everything was the maror, was the bitterness of the time, of the suffering of their fellow Jews, of themselves. Jews that even celebrated their Seders in Auschwitz, in the concentration camps. All they tasted was the maror. But there were other times, just even the last years of joy, years when Judaism felt like it was thriving and growing, when Israel felt that it was gaining more and more acceptance. And in those times, we didn't feel the maror so much. We felt the matzah. We felt that hope. We felt that faith. We felt that joy. We tasted the wine and the matzah, not the maror. What will you be tasting this year? If I may say, maybe this year, what we will be tasting is the korach sandwich. We all know that in the middle of the Seder, we take a sandwich of matzah together with maror. Because from one side, as we say, and the Rebbe always taught us, from one side we're broken, we have tears in our eyes, our hearts are sad. We think about the hostages, we think about the people in Israel, tens of thousands of people who are not at home. They are in foreign places because their homes are unsafe. We think about the over 600 soldiers that were killed. We think about the 1,200 people that were killed on October 7th. We think about the 12,000 people that were injured in Israel since October 7th, whose life will never be the same. So from one side, we taste the maror. But yet from the other side, we taste the matzah, the hope, the faith, because we see what's going on in the world. Just last Saturday night, we watched in horror as Iran shot 300 missiles, ballistic missiles, drones, all timed to be at the same exact time to invoke terror on Israel. And yet, what happened? Not even one made real damage. One girl was injured, a Bedouin, and I hear she's doing better. But other than that, that one person that was hurt, which is also too much. But other than that, the maror, we feel the bitterness. But this year we also feel the matzah, the faith, the hope. Yes, we say Hashata Hacha. Today we are here in exile. But L'shana haba ba'arad Yisrael, next year in Jerusalem, we have hope and we have faith in our future. We see the unity of the Jewish people. We see the hope that they've given. We see the embrace that each one has given one to the other. But I want to share something else with you. You know, I read this remarkable story about a man, Eliasaph Miara. Eliasaph Miara is a painter who lives in the south of Israel. And in the south of Israel, they have something called migunim. What's migunim? Migunim are shelters. They're shelters for people because they live right on the border with Gaza. And for years, there have been rockets that have been coming their way. So they built all over migunim. Now the migunim, where if you hear the siren, you have very short time to run from your wherever you are to the shelter. So they built migunim all over. But Eliasaph realized that the migunim, what are they made of? They're plaster, thin, disgusting plaster. It looks horrendous. Now, Eliasaph was a painter, so he decided to paint the one next to his house, and he painted it like beautifully of children laughing. And people saw that, and they really loved it. And one day he gets a call from the government of Israel that we really love how you painted this migun in the south. We're going to hire you to paint all the migunim, all the shelters that are there. You're going to paint them. So here goes Eliasaph. He got a job, and he went around with love. But he was creative. He was an artist. He was a painter. So he painted each one differently, each one to look so beautifully, one of a child, one of a grandparent, one of people around the table laughing, one of a garden. Each one was distinct and beautiful and came to life. And each migun was celebrating something else. October 7th happened, Simchas Torah. And horror upon horror, no one had times. They heard the sirens. They didn't realize that people came over. So where did the Jewish people run? They ran to the migunim, to the shelters. All over the south, all over the Gaza Strip, right near the Gaza Strip. And suddenly, Eliasaph gets a call. It's the army. And they tell him, listen, we're getting calls from people to come save them. So we're saying, where are you? And they're saying, one guy says, I'm in a shelter that's a picture of a child. And another guy says, I'm in a cell shelter that's a picture of a garden. Or of a grandparent. Now, we don't know where these places are. They don't know the streets. They just know the shelters they ran into. So, please tell us, help us. And that morning, Eliasaph, on October 7th, sat and literally guided the Israeli army to find hundreds of Jews and save them from these migunim and bring them to safety. Little did he know when he did that, when he painted those migunim, how important and how significant his job was. Tonight at the Seder, we're going to do the tradition where we're going to open the door for Elijah. And the question arises, why do we have to open the door for Elijah? Elijah's an angel. He's not a human. He could come in through anywhere he wants, through the chimney. All right, not the chimney, but he could come in how he wants. Why do we get up and open the door? And the answer the rabbis tell us is because if you want to see Elijah, if you want to see miracles, if you want to see godliness, if you want to see something, you have to get up from your couch. You have to get up. You can't just sit and kvetch. You have to get up. And when you get up and you do something, then you get to see Elijah. Eliasaph Miara didn't realize what he was doing. He was just painting to make cheerful, to encourage people to see beautiful things. And yet he saved hundreds of Jews. So tonight, when you sit at the Seder, be positive, be cheerful, be joyful. Tell your family, Hashata Hacha, L'Shana Haba B'Arad Yisrael. This year, we are here in this painful exile with 136 hostages still in Gaza. This year, we are a year full of anti-Semitism, full of hate. But L'Shana Haba B'Arad Yisrael, next year, Israel will be better, the world will be better. Today, we are not free. We're not free to walk on Columbia. We're not free to walk on Harvard and MIT safely. But L'Shana Haba B'nei Choden, next year will we be free. And how will that happen? By us getting up and opening the door for Elijah and making that effort and taking that korech sandwich and recognizing that we have joy and pain at the same moment. And when we embrace our loved ones and our children, and we give them this message of hope, this message of opportunity, this message of faith, then the matzah that starts, what do we say? Hey lach ma'anya, this is the bread of affliction. But what do we say later in the Haggadah? What do the Kabbalists tell us? That matzah turns into matzah of faith, matzah of healing through our actions, through our hope. May Hashem give each and every one of you a kosher and a happy and a meaningful and an inspiring Seder. And may those words ring true. L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, for every single one of us next year in Jerusalem. May it happen speedily nowadays. Chag Sameach.